Come on. Let's show some love. Let's show some love. Thank you.
Sanbonani, Dumelang, Legai. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, so as a general rule of thumb, I don't like speaking at tea engagements because I think it's a platform for the many skilled, amazing entrepreneurs we work with that we invite to this platform. But I think in the spirit of, and I think just to say love, passion, and hope to all the entrepreneurs that have been affected by the pandemic. You know, I think I then sit as one of those entrepreneurs. I think in one of our business, one of my businesses, we've lost over 90% of our revenue, had to let go of, you know, quite a large number of staff members, right? And so the ripple effect and the economic effects of it are very brutal. And it doesn't start to change in the conversation that we're having today overnight, but it's an ongoing conversation. And I think before I sort of go, you know, through with this chat, thank you so much to Martha and your team at WRCTA. And I think some of the critical and amazing things is what she mentioned here, you know. I think some of the things that I didn't even know that they did. And I think it's important for you as an entrepreneur, which links to what I'm sort of quickly, won't even be longer than 10 minutes. We're going to do the Q&A, we close, you go home, you have a good day. But I think for me, it then becomes important for the entrepreneur to monetize. You need to be able to monetize these opportunities. Because one of the first steps, I think one needs to sort of take into cognizance in terms of going into business. So understand one thing. Over 60% of small businesses or 60% of people that go into business are survivalists. So survivalist means they started that business as a means to an end. So I'm not employed, I must start doing something, or you know, or I'm employed and I really feel like this is a passion. Before they sort of formulate it into an organization or a structured brand, they sort of start as a survivalist. So they're running this business, it runs from their own personal bank accounts, and it almost doesn't have, not necessarily registered, but it almost doesn't have a proper business structure. So part of rebuilding the business, or rather building your business up, so what you need to do is form the posture of the business that you want to be. And what I mean by form the posture, benchmark. Who in the industry are the top 3 organizations that are doing what you do? And then the second benchmark that you make is, who are I don't want to call them low 3, but who are the other 3 individuals in the same industry as you that are not necessarily that are in the same industry that you are in, or the industry that you want to get into, that you don't necessarily feel like they're the best at what they do. And part of benchmarking is to say the top 3, what are they doing brilliantly? The bottom 3, what could they have been doing that could have benchmarked them a level higher than everybody else? The moment you start to do that, then you need to then ask yourself critical questions to say, after you do that, what then do you then need to take in forming your unique selling proposition or your unique selling story? And over and above whatever you build from the unique selling story is to then say, which products or services will I then shortlist to a minimum of 3? And then these are the products that I go to market with. From those 3 products that you then decide to go to market with, you then need to be able to clearly justify your sales pipeline. What do I mean by your sales pipeline? So a sales is a journey, right? I don't just, in certain instances, I don't talk to you now and close you now, right? Based on the various industries. Now, you benchmarking the 3 products says, it's either these 3 products, one of them is a product you can sell now and people buy now. The other product is a product that I need to sell, but part of me selling means I need to email out a pitch or a proposal, right? Or a company profile. After I email out the company profile, then I need to meet someone who's in procurement, and then I need to meet someone who's a buyer, then I need to meet someone who's the head of that department, then I need to meet someone who actually runs that production before they actually give me the contract. So you actually find that what you then need to then do is that you find that there are then 4 channels of your sale. There's the sale that you're going to get now. There's the intermediary sale that you will make in the next 30 days of your cycle. There's the sale that will take you the next 6 months, and then there are long-term sales. Now, long-term sales are, the day I told 10 million. The day I close that 100 million rand contract. But there are sales that you can engage in right now that can take you to getting to that particular goal. You know, my accountant years ago, so is an amazing guy, right? So I've been an entrepreneur 16 years. So my accountant now is the chairman of SAICA and the CFO of UCT, an amazing guy. How? So what he used to say then, right? He used to say, no, you misconstrued accounting. You want the big things, but you're missing one thing. Take care of the sardines, and the big fish are going to sort themselves out. Because one of the most critical things is cash flow. Cash flow is important. Now, the reason why I talk about cash flow being important and we're talking about rebuild is simply this. You might have been in business and your business is entirely disrupted, meaning that you might not even be able to operate. So some individuals are in the tourism space, some individuals on the artistry space. So when things are closed like this, or you're running events, coordinating company, so when things are closed like this, you might not be able to generate the revenue that you used to generate. So ideally to an entrepreneur, because entrepreneurs consistently adapt, you know, because as an entrepreneur, you adapt or die. What does that mean? That means that maybe you rekisa sanitizer more sighting, so that you maybe you rekisa the mask, maybe you rekisa 1, 2, 3, right? But one of the key things that you then need to intrinsically understand is that when you are then building your entrepreneurial cycle and your journey over the years, you might find yourself in a position where you sell multiple products. One day you are selling this one, you're selling other things. But the one thing that you need to remain resolute and focused on is what is the end goal. Whatever you start with the end in mind. So if the end goal is to be able to develop and build up an engineering company that is going to sit on a global scale, everything that you do in between must speak towards that. Because I think most of the time what we end up doing is that we end up losing our focus because we jump onto the next best thing, but we jump onto the next best thing and we make it the best thing forever. But there's nothing wrong from an entrepreneurial perspective to jump onto the next best thing from an opportunities perspective while still having your eyes on the goal and having the next best thing, which is immediate, fund the big goal of where you are going at the end of the day. But to track a couple of steps back, so I meet a lot of entrepreneurs, and a lot of entrepreneurs keep asking me, you do work with A, B, C, and D. So I've had the great privilege of, we've done amazing brand work, man, over the years for multinational, national organizations, so on and so forth. But I keep getting the question, okay, cool. How did you get to work with 1, 2, 3? Chance. I'll make it, right? But you need to understand one thing. The thing about sales is the best way to ask for help is simply, how can I help you? The best way to ask for help is simply, how can I help you? So what I always say to these entrepreneurs is that if I jump in front of, I'll make an example, right? Some of you guys might even want to engage some of the speakers. Definitely you need to engage Martha and her team. So if I jump in front of Martha, hi, Martha, my name is Bulelani, we do cleaning, we do 1, 2, 3, we do whatever, you know, then my story is shabby. Then chances are she'll probably say to me, you know what, just here's a leaflet, read the leaflet, then chat to the guys at the office and chat to the team and so on and so forth. But if I'm being practical as an entrepreneur, I need to understand who she is, what role she plays in the organization that she's in, and then formulate my conversation based on who you're talking to. The biggest challenge is that you are pitching the right things to the wrong people. That's the first thing. The second biggest challenge is that you are pitching, but you want the person that you are pitching to fill in the gaps and to do the work for you. So it's almost like when you're engaging people and they're consistently looking for mentors, one of the things that I'm going to tell you is simply this: stop looking for mentors. I'll tell you, I'll quantify this, because I always encourage people to look for mentors. Stop looking for mentors, because you then justify your laziness for not being productive and say that the day I get a mentor, I'm going to be productive. No. What you need to then do, you then need to then formulate, if I had to find a mentor, the mentor's job is not to tell me what to do, but the mentor's job, my job, is to pitch to the mentor what I was going to do and get inputs and suggestions. That's it. So the consistent thinking that says they're going to do it for me, they're going to win it for me, is wrong. So stop looking for the mentor, but start looking for the right type of people, or in this particular case, will be mentoring you in the right direction. But you will then start mentoring you in the right direction, and they will then give you constructive criticism and guidance based on the work that you've already put in. But going back to my sort of Martha analogy, right? If I jump in front of her and I'm pitching something that is disarrayed and that is not aligned to her, the sort of failure story that I walk away is that, yeah, man, they didn't like what I was pitching. They didn't want what I was pitching. But there was no interest at the end of the day. So what are some of the things that you need to do? Then you need to understand what her role is. Number 3, you need to understand what the organization does, if you want to then add value to them. The moment you understand what the organization does, you then need to map out, where do you then fit into that story? Because we go into conversations generically saying, yeah, Mara WRC, we are an events company. I'm sure by it's the event. I don't know Bulelani Balabala. You understand but you haven't done your homework. WRC, I'm sure they buy sanitizers. Let's just talk to them. But it's a different conversation when I say, hey, Martha, I actually visited your branch. I went to the one in Seshego, I went to the one in Mokopane and so on and so forth. And what I realized is that the people, there are sanitizers, but the sanitizing station is not conducive, right? And the previous month when I was chatting to the receptionist or the security guard, she told me that there were other ladies that got infected and you guys consistently need to keep re-sanitizing the whole building. So my strategy for you is that I'm not trying to sell you sanitizers, but I'm trying to sell you a preventative measure that will reduce the amount of times you are unproductive by sanitizing the whole building and having people sort of isolate themselves at home. So this system that I've created would make sure and allow that the sanitization is moisturized, it moves. So that sort of pitch, I've already told her what their problem is. By me going into the problem statement, I am telling her that I've done my homework and I've done my research about who, not about my product, about you. The third thing that I do is I tell them the features and benefits, and the features and benefits simply speak to how will it add value to the individual at the end of the day. So knowing that, and the moment you start to consistently harness that, then it leads us to the next level of our conversation. It's when you then intrinsically start to understand that your goal as a business owner or as a small business owner is you need to take on a top-down and a bottom-up approach. You need to take on a top-down and a bottom-up approach. A top-down and a bottom-up approach is when you economically understand that the rand in this room, if I'm selling branding or marketing services, might be limited from a growth perspective and from a stretch perspective, because if I'm selling the service at 5,000 rand, I might not get everyone in this room paying for that particular service. So the second question that you sort of ask yourself is simply this. Based on the service I am selling, who is the service for? Can they afford the service? If they can't afford the service, who would benefit from paying for the service on behalf of the beneficiaries? Who would benefit as a value add on paying me to render the service for these individuals? So let's hold that thought. I want to go back to another thought. This whole conversation was underpinned by one thing. The question was, how do you get to work with brand X, Y, and Z? How do you get to work with brand X, Y, and Z when you're an entrepreneur who's cash strapped, who doesn't have the revenue that they need to build, who doesn't have the infrastructure? Sometimes you question about infrastructure and certain things are red tape barriers that prevent you from getting into certain spaces, right? So I'll tell you what we did a couple of years ago, or rather what I did and I've done a lot of insane things. So what I did is that I wanted to do work with CCBSA. CCBSA is Coca-Cola, right? But I didn't meet their standards. I didn't have the credentials. I didn't have the work profile. It so happened that I knew a gentleman who worked at PepsiCo. PepsiCo then supplies the Simba chips, the brand, Pepsi, the drink, and a couple of other brands. I think Willard's is also under there. And I sat down and I had a meeting with them and I was like, what is the potential for me to supply services here? Then it says, oh, my man, we've got long-term 5-year contracts. We've got this. You need to demonstrate that you've got capacity to deliver this. The next round of supplier intakes is on what. And I was like to him, from your event schedule, what are some of the activities that you have going on? Then he told me the activities. Then you know what I simply said to him? Was, can I do this? Then let's do a trade. I'll give you the service for free if you can give me a recommendation. I looked at my product range. I chose what would be the least, what would be the best quality, but the least impactful on my pocket. They gave me the opportunity to deliver them. I supplied them. Whether they used them or not, it was none of my business. But what was my business was the fact that now I could say to anyone that I had a multinational brand as a customer. Then you know what I then did? I utilized that not just in my conversation with their competitor, but my conversation with every other brand that was a multinational or a local national brand, as a conversational piece from a credibility perspective to say who I had done work with. So one of the things that you then need to then take into cognizance is, especially when growing your business, is if you're going to sell and you're upselling, you're selling upstream, then utilize the diversion tactic. Because the people that you're looking at, the people that you want to sell to, the people that you're sort of looking up to as the sort of epitomized next level businesses, the businesses that might open up opportunities for me, are not looking at you. They don't see you as a service provider based on your demeanor, right? The demeanor is that you are starting out. So one of the things that you also then need to dispel, stop pity selling. So the sale is, my business is X, Y, and Z, and the business is here in Seshego in the community, and we're helping the community. We're employing young people here in the community. We are a catering company. No, that's not a business. You're running a charity. You need to decide: are you in business or you're running a charity? Are you going to be serious about the posture or not? Because someone who's serious will take that 1 minute and turn it into a value add. What do you do for the client? What value add do you leave with the client? So one of the things that we realized a couple of years ago, because we worked with a lot of amazing brands, is that I've got a 0.5 millisecond opportunity when I give the person my business card to capture them. Why? Because what do people mostly do with the business cards? They take them and they put them on the desk, they take them and they put them in the bins, they don't utilize them and they don't purpose them. But let's say now conversations and trends have moved, right? We no longer ideally take the business card, but what do? We share numbers. But how many of those people, when you went to a networking event or a marketing event or a business event or a workshop, took your number and they promised to call you for a service and actually call you? The hit rate is very low. Right, think about it this way. So the conversation I'm having with someone is, hi, my name is Bulelani and I'm trying to sell, right? Hi, my name is Bulelani, what is your name? No, my name is Pindo. Okay, cool. Pindo, what do you do? No, I run a catering company. Wara. Bulelani, what do you do? No, I run a branding company. You need to understand that everything intrinsically, or rather importantly, from a sales perspective, in the minds of everyone, lies in this solemn thing. You're not selling to the person that you're looking at, but you're selling to the mind. So let me make an example. And I need anyone to, don't put your hand up, just blurt out what comes to mind when I mention a certain word. What comes to mind when I mention the word plumbing? Anyone? Plumbing company, what comes to mind? There's no right and wrong. Water. Plumbing company, what comes to mind? Tabs. Sir, what comes to mind? He's still thinking. Osmartha, what comes to mind? Plumbing. Also, what comes to mind? Sorry? That's the problem with the sale. You confused the customer by telling her the service without the value add. By the fact that you told me that you are in the construction space, you didn't tell me the value add and the benefit for me. So you didn't separate yourself from anyone else who's in the construction space. So my thinking is, anything that was construction company, I assume you to be that. So the best way then to differentiate yourself by the value add that you add. So this is what then changed my business, right? A couple of years ago, I think about 7 years ago. So I'm in a room now. I'm given the opportunity through a program with Investec, which I spent a lot of money on this program. Now I'm sitting in a room with guys that are making 200. I think the highest was the company, an engineering company. They were making 280 million, and the lowest was making 2,000 rand a month, right? And there was about 30 of us in this classroom. So now I'm in this room. Now I'm being asked, okay, cool. So Bulelani, what does your company do, right? Then do I say that I run a branding manufacturing company that's going to fly over their heads and they're going to shake my hands and politely say, no, you're doing good work. Here's the business card. We'll see you again the next week. No. But I had to tell them that. So my sort of opener to what do you do? And I'd say, that's the problem. If I had to tell you what I do, then you might necessarily miss it, so I'll explain it in this particular sense. Majority of businesses, and a lot of people think that branding, and the majority of people think that branding is about images, shapes, color, and text. But they negate the fact that it's about the emotion and the feeling and the connection. It was never about you spending 1,000 rand on a billboard or in a business card. But the question is it impactful enough for it to generate a sale? What do you think then happens after that conversation? Is how, why. When you are selling to a customer, you need two things from them. You need a customer who's going to be intrigued and ask you why and tell you, I don't have the cash now, but I'm going to talk about you. And then you need the next set of customers who's going to say, wow, that's amazing. We want your service and you're going to procure the service from you. Utilize the sale as an opportunity to separate you from the market, add value for the consumer, and get the consumer to become an ambassador and speak for you. That's what you need to consistently do. Don't sell the service. Sell the value add of the service. What are you doing for them that's making you different from everybody in the same industry as you? That is the business that you're in. That is the thing that is going to get tongues wagging. That is the thing that is going to get people engaged with regards to who you are. So when the conversation is sort of mentioned about branding and marketing companies, cleaning companies, you also need to stand out because you have segmented yourself in the market. So I think in terms of this conversation, we'll leave it here. I'm still here.